We are continuing the subject of Rajput polity under the Mughals. Last time we had seen the trouble had started between Jodhpur and the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb over the succession of Jaswant Singh, who died without any male issue. In the question of the succession, as we have seen last time, there were two claimants, one Indra Singh, son of Amar Singh's, the elder brother of Jaswant, and other Anup Singh, son of the daughter of Amar Singh. But meanwhile, two Ranis of Jaswant had given birth to two sons, eldest being Ajit Singh, at Lahore. On March 26, 1676, Aurangzeb gave the decision in favor of Indra Singh. Indra Singh was to be the Rana of Marwar, and he would pay the peshkash of 35 lakhs of rupees. Naturally, this created the problem. Even the Mir Bakshi of the Mughal Empire, as well as the Rana of Bikaner, they supported the claim of Ajit Singh. Now, this decision of Aurangzeb was resisted by the Rathors. They did not agree. Rani Hadi, the chief queen who was at Jodhpur, she did not agree either. Aurangzeb was very much enraged, and he ordered that the Rani and the sons, two sons and their two mothers, were to be confined in the fort of Agra. While they were being transported from Delhi to Agra, the chief Rathor Sardar, Durgadas Rathor, along with some other Rathors, abducted Ajit Singh and his mother and took them to Jodhpur after a valiant fight. There was great rejoicing at Jodhpur, and Ajit Singh was given the tikka, that is, was declared the Rana of Marwar. This enraged Aurangzeb very much. Jodhpur was already under the Mughal Faujdar, Tahir Khan, and he ordered that a very strong army be sent to Jodhpur. He himself had gone to Ajmer and called Asaf Khan and Prince Akbar as well as Shahista Khan to Ajmer to conduct the war. The Mughals descended, and the Rathors decided not to fight openly. They would fight from the desert, a sort of a guerrilla warfare, harassing the Mughal army. Tahir Khan occupied Jodhpur. Rani Hadi submitted, but she was allowed to stay in the fort of Jodhpur. According to the requests of the Sardars, some parganas were allotted to her for the maintenance of the family. It was at this juncture that Aurangzeb felt that everything has been won. So what he did was, he took the child who was left at Delhi, child of Jaswant, converted him to Islam, gave him a name Muhammadi Raj and a mansab of 3,000 zat. This was actually a very foolish move from political point of view. It was a foolish one because this boy, thereby becoming a Muslim, lost all claim to the throne of Marwar. No one would accept it. Indra Singh was ordered to occupy Jodhpur, but he could not enter. He remained outside, and Aurangzeb, in his rage, called Ajit Singh a jali bacha, the impostor, not a proper son of Jaswant, and therefore there should be no negotiation with him. And Indra Singh's appointment to the throne of Jodhpur was cancelled. It was now a Khalisa, that is state land. Rani Hadi suggested that if Aurangzeb accepts Ajit Singh, then the Rathors will break all the Hindu temples by themselves. Aurangzeb did not accept it. Then Rani Hadi suggested that Jodhpur be given to Ajit Singh and the rest of the country, rest of the state, should remain as Khalisa. This was also refused by Aurangzeb. There is to be no negotiation between the Mughals and Ajit Singh or on Ajit Singh at all, because that person, that boy is an impostor. He is not a true son. But he has already turned the true son of Jaswant into a Muslim. At this point, Durgadas Sarkar suggested that Aurangzeb wanted Jodhpur to be in the direct control of the Mughals and wanted to convert the Hindus into Muslims. This is difficult to accept, because if he wanted to convert it into a direct one, it is already there as a Khalisa. Excepting Jodhpur, the Rathors were willing to give the rest of the country as Khalisa. So he could have accepted it, but he did not do that. Also, if he wanted to convert all the Hindus into Muslims, he would have accepted the proposal of Rani Hadi to break all the temples. But he did not accept that. So the desultory warfare continued. Aurangzeb himself came to Jodhpur very briefly, but the Mughal commanders were not willing to pursue the Rajputs in the deserts and in the hills. They are not used to that kind of fighting. They wanted straight fight with their cavalry, their elephants and so on and so forth, artillery, etc. But the Rajputs were not fighting that way. This continued for fairly long time. Meanwhile, Aurangzeb became occupied with the Deccan War. It was the Deccan ulcer, as some historians said, and with Maharashtra. So there was a sort of a two front, one in Maharashtra, the other is in Rajputana or in Rajasthan. But this was not the fight against all the Rajputs. Actually, some of the states like Amber, Bikaner, Jaisalmer, Bundi, Kota, etc., they were all with the Mughals. They actually did not fight in the Marwar war, but they were in the Deccan war. So therefore, it was not a fight against all Rajputs. Gradually, Aurangzeb realized that it was a very difficult fight. The question of money is coming in, the question of soldiers. In the Mughal nobility, there was a division. The Mir Bakshi was in favor of compromising with the Rajputs so that one could concentrate on the Marathas. And this kind of debate was going on for a fairly long time. It was not difficult to occupy Jodhpur, but it was very difficult to get the revenue from other areas. So Aurangzeb suggested that the state could be divided between two main claimants, according to him, Indra Singh and Ajit Singh. He of course did not mention Ajit Singh, but he mentioned Rani Hadi. But the Rathors did not agree, because such a kind of a division of the state would weaken it. The total revenue of 8 lakhs now would be divided between two parties. That would weaken the state. So therefore they did not agree, neither Rani Hadi agreed. So this proposal fell through. So Aurangzeb now at a bitter end, and meanwhile Durgadas Rathore had managed to get Tahir Khan, the Faujdar of Jodhpur, in his side, and they seized Ajmer. But then they could not maintain themselves there, and they had to flee from there. Between 1681 to 1686, Durgadas and Prince Akbar, who was in rebellion in 1681, they had gone to Maharashtra under the Marathas. From there, in 1686, Durgadas came back to Marwar. Meanwhile, in these 5 years, the individual Rathore captains, they continued their firepower, continued their warfare without coordination, but with much bravery. When Durgadas came, Ajit Singh was in hiding in Sirohi. So with the news of Durgadas being back, Ajit Singh now came back to Marwar and became the head of the resistance to the Mughals. The warfare therefore continued, and during this warfare in 1696, Ajit Singh got married to a niece of the Rana of Mewar. This was otherwise not significant, but there was one implication which is difficult for Aurangzeb to disobey. The implication is that other Rajput states, particularly the premier one like Mewar, has accepted Ajit Singh as a genuine son of Jaswant. This had completely collapsed the theory of Aurangzeb of the impostor. So therefore, Aurangzeb, by that time getting old, sick with the Maratha problem, in 1698, he accepted Ajit Singh as the Rana of Marwar with one condition. The condition is that Jodhpur will remain in the hands of the Mughals. But the Rana's objection was different. The objection was that Jodhpur was the hereditary estate, the Watan Jaigir, as they said in Mughal terms, of the Rana of Jodhpur, of Rana of Marwar. Therefore, Jodhpur must be given. And it is on this point that they did not agree. This situation almost a stalemate between Ajit Singh and Aurangzeb continued, although outwardly the fighting had stopped. Ajit Singh rebelled twice in 1702 and 1707, but he could not get this. So therefore he thought of getting the help of other Rajput states, excepting Rana of Mewar. Nobody has supported it with any real terms. Rana of Bikaner supported it, but he did not send any force. Rana of Mewar had actually become less interested after Ajit Singh was born in Marwar. Actually, in 1650, Shah Jahan had taken away several parganas from Mewar on the ground that they are repairing the wall of Chittor, violating the understanding. These had not been restored to the Rana of Mewar. On this ground, Aurangzeb had taken some further parganas from Mewar. So therefore Mewar felt very much dissatisfied. And also Mewar could see that being Mansabdars and with matrimonial alliances, other Rajput states had extended their territories, their revenues, their military powers. But in case of Mewar, nothing has happened. They remained in the backwater of the Rajput affairs. Therefore, the Marwar dispute was a golden opportunity for Raj Singh to dominate the Rajput affairs, to emerge as one of the biggest Rajput states. This became clearly visible when Durgadas and Ajit Singh escaped to Mewar. The Rana gave them asylum. The Mughals immediately retaliated. They invaded Mewar and occupied Kumbhalgarh. Rana fled and tried to start the guerrilla warfare, but Durgadas and Ajit Singh, they refused to have the guerrilla warfare. Ajit Singh actually had not much of a say. It is Durgadas who refused on the ground that the Rajputs fight openly, not from under the bushes. Now, this was in this situation that Raj Singh died. And after the death of Raj Singh, Mewar really lost its glory that was still there. And Durgadas and Ajit Singh turned to Udaipur for support, but Udaipur verbally agreed but did nothing. It was in this condition that Aurangzeb died. After the death of Aurangzeb, Bahadur Shah first became the emperor. Now Bahadur Shah's policy can be divided in two phases very briefly, so far as Rajputs are concerned. In the first phase, he followed the policy of Aurangzeb of going against the Rajputs, putting them down, trying to control them, so on and so forth. In the second phase, it all changed. It became exactly the opposite. The Rajputs must be honored, given very high ranks, and they should be supporting him. Now, in the beginning, Ajit Singh submitted and also Joy Singh. But there was another claimant in Amber, his brother Vijay Singh. And Vijay Singh was one who had supported Bahadur Shah and the Mughals in several battles. Therefore, Bahadur Shah gave the throne of Jaipur to Vijay Singh. Joy Singh naturally became very angry and he tried to change the opinion of Bahadur Shah by going with him along with Ajit Singh to Narmada. But from there they escaped, came back. Joy Singh recovered Amber, drove away Vijay Singh outside. Ajit Singh recovered Jodhpur. And from there they went to the Maharana of Udaipur to make an agreement that there will be a joint struggle against the Mughals. The Maharana, who had lost some territory earlier to the Mughals, now recovered those territories and he became satisfied. Although he agreed, but he didn't give any help. Joy Singh, after recovering Amber, suddenly became quiet. Ajit Singh seized Ajmer, but then he was defeated by the Faujdar and he had to submit. He had to retreat from Ajmer after paying 80,000 rupees. It was in this situation that Bahadur Shah realized that this policy of coercion of Aurangzeb could not be maintained. So he changed his policy now. He accepted the pardon of Ajit Singh, allowed Joy Singh his throne of Amber, gave all the properties of Joy Singh back to him which were earlier confiscated, and they were given high mansabs. They were asked to come to the court, they came to the court, and they were asked to guard the foothills of the Savalik mountains against the Sikhs, because the war with Banda Bahadur was progressing at that particular time. Now after Banda has been imprisoned and executed, the Rajputs then were asked to go to their homes. They were given good post, Faujdari of Mathura to one, governor of Gujarat to another, and so on. Their mansabs were raised. Meanwhile, in the Mughal court, there were two particular strands appearing. One is against the Rajputs, that is the old policy of Aurangzeb to be followed, and the other, the Sayyids and others, to conciliate the Rajputs and to get support, particularly military support from them. It was the second one that won. Bahadur Shah tried to kill one of the Sayyids, but could not do it. He was deposed. Farrukhsiyar came, and Farrukhsiyar gave all the mansabs to the Rajputs. So for the time being, the Rajputs were in the ascendancy. The jizya was abolished on the request of Ajit Singh in 1712, and the situation was turning more or less better for the Rajputs. It was in this situation that we see that the Mughals tried continually to use the two Rajput chiefs, Ajit Singh and Joy Singh, and also to certain extent other states, to their sides because the war of succession was practically not yet over. Farrukhsiyar was deposed very soon, and the reign of Muhammad Shah began, but in that reign, in 1739, Nadir Shah invaded, which showed the weakness of the Mughal Empire. Now in this weakness, along with this, there was the Marathas' attacks in North India, and it was the bravery of Jai Singh who defeated the Marathas and kept them at bay for some time. By 1741, Jai Singh had brokered a pact between the Marathas and the Mughals. The pact was not a very good one for the Mughals, but it gave them peace. The Mughals by that time had very little power. The Marathas were free to get Chaut and Sardeshmukhi from the Deccan, from many other areas, and so on and so forth. But in the process, the Rajputs had got very good places. They got Ajit Singh got the governorship of Ajmer and Gujarat, and Malwa was given to as governorship to one of the Rajput states. So therefore, they became the most important element. By 1750, they were the most important elements of the Mughal court, and they continued to be so in the next 30 years. So therefore, the Rajput polity under the Mughals had undergone various kinds of evolution, in both influenced by their own internal situation as also by the situation within the Mughal court and the Mughal Empire. It is the interaction of these elements that constitute the Mughal polity under the Mughals.